Welcome to the Build Your World-Class Brand Online Global Virtual Summit, featuring insights and stories from leading experts from around the world on how to make a bigger impact, sell your services online, and create an international lifestyle. Hi, I'm Hannah Fitz, international brand strategist and business coach at the Brand Atelier at hannahfitz.com, where I help extraordinary, passion-driven women just like you turn your expertise and powerful personal story into a world-class brand so you can stand out and live the cultured life. Today's guest is one of the world's leading experts in the law of attraction and has been featured in several movies, including The Secret. Also known as Mr. Fire, Dr. Joe Vitale has helped millions of people worldwide achieve success in their business and personal life. Dr. Joe Vitale is the world's first hypnotic marketer. He is the president of Hypnotic Marketing, Inc., and author of countless books, including The Attractor Factor, #1 best-selling book, Spiritual Marketing, and Hypnotic Writing, which was also a bestseller, along with Nightingale-Conant audio program, The Power of Outrageous Marketing. A modern-day Renaissance man, Dr. Joe Vitale is a master of manifestations, widely known for his coaching program, Miracles Coaching, internationally renowned as a marketing strategist and singer-songwriter. He travels around the world speaking and inspiring others to live a bigger life. From homeless to world-class brand, I am so honored to have Dr. Joe Vitale here with us today. Welcome to Build a World-Class Brand Summit.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. I love what you're doing. I support your work, and it's flattering to be here. So thank you for inviting me.
Thank you very much. We're honored, and I know a lot of ladies are excited to hear your perspective on the topic of law of attraction, marketing, business, and abundance. Dr. Joe, you have become a global brand name and go-to expert on a number of subjects. In those early days when you were struggling and trying to find your way and homeless and just really hitting rock bottom, did you ever imagine that you would be in this position that you are now?
No. All I wanted to do first was survive. And second, I wanted to be an author. But I never, ever, in my wildest dreams, ever imagined that I would be living this lifestyle of the rich and famous, traveling around the world, appearing in movies, doing major TV shows, filming my own TV show, writing 70-some books, seeing my books become international bestsellers, #1 bestseller in Italy, me traveling to countries like Russia, me becoming a singer-songwriter, me having 6 singer-songwriter albums out and being in Rolling Stone magazine, and starting my own coaching program and having this impact and influence. I never saw this scope of it. This is mind-blowing.
It is mind-blowing, and I'm sure, we all want to know, how do you go from there to to achieving the level of results, abundance, status, financial prosperity, having it all? How do you go from that?
Well, it's a great question. I'm laughing because everybody wants to know, what's the one thing you do? What's the one pill you take, or what's the one book you read, or what's the one course you go to? Yeah. And the reality is, this kind of level of success doesn't happen overnight. It happens step by step, like everything else in life. When I was homeless and in poverty, I wanted to be an author. The first goal was to be published. Then when I was published, and my first book was in 1984, the next goal would be to sell it, and then write another book, and then go and find a way to market it and maybe do another book. So all I could see were those little steps. I think it was Steve Jobs who said, when you're looking forward, you can't see all the lights. You can't see all the stepping stones. When you stand here and you look backwards, you can see all of the milestones that led up to this point. So like everybody else, I simply do the next thing. And as I do the next thing, at one point in time, I get into my 60s, I stop, I do a show like this, I look around and go, wow, I did a lot. And I'm not done, I'm still doing more.
Yeah.
So the way to get here is one step at a time.
How do you take those steps when everything is telling you that maybe it's not going to work?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, first of all, people get overwhelmed with the idea of their big dreams and their big projects, and so they don't do anything. They just get overwhelmed and they say, it's too big to open my own bakery or write my own book or go on a tour or whatever they want to do. And what I tell people is you start where your shoes are, meaning right here, right in this moment, and you do the first baby obvious step. That's it. You do the obvious first step, whatever that little thing is. And it could be open a bank account. It could be open a website. It could be go buy a certain book and read it. You know, there's a first step for everything. You take that first step, and here's the wonderful thing that happens. The second step becomes apparent. The second and third and fourth and fifth steps may not be apparent until you take the first step. So the very first thing, and this is such a no-brainer, and it really just dumbs it down that anybody can do this. Yeah. You ask yourself, what is it do I want to have, do, or be? Doesn't matter what it is. What do I want to have, do, or be? All right, what would be the very first thing I could do today to go in that direction? Right. It may mean that you can't buy the mansion you want today, but you can buy a catalog or a magazine that has photos of them. Yeah. That's the very first step. And as you're looking through the catalog or the magazine, you may get a little aha that there's something that you want to do next after it. But you don't know what that second and third step is until you take the baby step that's right in this moment. Yeah. So that's the very first thing to do is you take your baby step based on what your desire is. That's in this moment, what I say, right where your shoes are. Yes. And the other thing is you have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in yourself when there's no evidence around you and maybe nobody around you that believes it. When I was in Houston and I was working for an oil company, I went through homelessness, I went through poverty, and I was working for an oil company, and I hated it. I drove 36 miles through Houston traffic to get there, and I would cry behind the wheel of the car because I was so unhappy. But when I was there, I was taking the baby steps. Before work, during lunch, after work, I'd be working on my first book or my second book, whatever it was. But I remember that the people around me didn't believe in me. I still remember this woman, this executive, who was talking to another woman and said, he thinks he's going to be an author. Yeah. You have to believe in yourself when there's no evidence and nobody around you. And at times that may be difficult. But that's why we have people like you. That's why we have books. That's why today we have the internet. I didn't have it back then. All I had was a public library, which was, thank goodness for the public library, full of wisdom and encouragement. So you have to believe in yourself, and you have to do the baby steps, and you do the very first ones right now, today, where you're sitting.
That makes a lot of sense. It really reminds me of a principle of when you honor the small things, the bigger things will appear. So I really like that. So beautiful. I know that you were in the movie The Secret, and that, I think, sort of commercialized the whole law of attraction notion. It really made a lot more people become aware of it. Right. But there are still people who think that it's hocus pocus, and they think that that doesn't work. Right. You know, what is the law of attraction, and why is it that everyone should be using this principle? And how did this help you when all those years ago to move from one point to the next?
Those are several good questions.
Yes, I just thought that there sounded like 3 questions, but yes.
Well, that's all good. Well, we all want to know about the law of attraction because we're already using it. Yeah. We're already using it. We're just not aware of it. Now, I often draw the comparison to the law of gravity. Before Newton, nobody had a phrase for it. Nobody really knew what the reason things were falling. And so they were unconscious to a law that was actually operating. Yeah. Well, the law of attraction is the same way. We want to become we want to become aware so we can use it, a law that is already operating. So the law of attraction is the basic law of the brain that you tend to get what you unconsciously focus on. And especially if you focus on it with emotion, with energy. The rule of thumb is you are going to attract into your life the things you love, the things you hate, and the things you fear. Why? They are deeply fired with the fuel of emotion. Love, hate, fear. And so you're telling your brain that I love this, I hate this, I fear this. And your brain goes on alert to look for it in the outside world and to make you aware of it. It's attracting it to you. This is the law of attraction. But almost everybody is using it unconsciously. They don't know what it is.
Yeah.
The movie The Secret and the book The Secret introduced the idea of the law of attraction. It wasn't the be-all and end-all. It was like the kindergarten first grade course. So naturally, some people watched it and said, oh, that doesn't work, or it doesn't work for me. But they need to understand the deeper levels of the law of attraction. It is a law. It is working. It is working right now for all of us. What we want to do is awaken to how we can use it to better get the results we prefer. So instead of always complaining, which is going back to the hate and the fear, we want to focus on the things we are in love with. What would you love to have into your life? Do you want the soulmate? Do you want the better job or more income or more sales or better health or a bigger house or a faster car or spirituality? It doesn't have to be material. It can be spiritual, it can be anything. The more you focus on it and say, oh, I would really welcome that into my life, and you start to imagine what that would be like, and you start to feel what it would be like, you're using the law of attraction to awaken the part of your brain that filters out all the information available in any one moment and allows you to see, become a conscious to what's relevant to that intention. Now you'll start seeing it. A very simple example, and everybody knows this one, when you buy a new car, it suddenly looks like everybody's driving your car.
Yes.
If you buy a Volkswagen, you're looking all around, it's like there's Volkswagens everywhere. Why? You're in love with your new car, it's fresh on your mind, and your brain is going, look, there's more of them.
Yes.
All of this is the very basic understanding of the law of attraction. I mean, I have my Miracles coaching program helps people go into this in depth. I know you mentioned it.
Yes.
I have a couple freebies I can give to your listeners, your viewers a little later in here. One's a book and one's a course that can help them understand this some more. But this is what's so wonderful. Once we awaken to our own power, we can start to leverage it to have, do, or be more of what we want. And to answer one of your other questions, the law of attraction is why I'm here. I was reading the books in the public library when I was homeless and when I was in poverty. I didn't have the money for the books. Today I buy my own books and have my own library, but back then I went to the library and I read about visualization and positive thinking and the magic of believing. And as I started to apply it, and again, I was by myself doing this on myself, so it was slower than what people would do today. Today you can do it at warp speed. But back then I was in my baby step, training wheels on my life, learning how to create what I wanted. And I got published, I got a play produced, I got married. I mean, I started to make income from what I was doing. I went on the internet. Slowly things started to build, they started to happen. They started to build momentum, I started to build on it. And then of course, look where I am today.
Yeah, I like what you said. You said two words that really caught my attention: filters and slowly, because I think people have the impression that the law of attraction is this expedient, very like things are going to happen so quick and it's just going to explode, and quantum leaps and all these kinds of language that do happen, but I think people don't realize it's a process.
It is a process, just like everything else in life is a process. I tell people, look, if you wanted to grow an acorn tree and I dropped the seed in your hand, what would you do to make that seed turn into a full-blown tree?
Keep watering.
All you can do, you would water it, you would put sunshine on it, you would make sure the weeds were away from it, you might visualize the tree and so forth, but you'll have to wait.
Yes.
Time is involved with a whole lot of these things. Yes, I believe in magic and miracles. I believe that some things can happen in a snap. Sure. I do believe you can open the door and there's your true love, or there's your car, or any number of things. There's enough stories about instant healings and instant manifestations that we know it's possible. But I don't want people to trick themselves into self-sabotage by saying, oh, I tried visualization one time, I didn't get the date, and so it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Well, it's like the acorn. You didn't wait. You didn't do the rest of the process. And in fact, your very impatience demonstrated why you didn't manifest it. Your impatience was actually what was pushing it away. A part of you didn't believe it was going to happen. So you gave it one chance, one day, and immediately cut it off and said, it doesn't work. Yes, it does work. Your own belief that you already had demonstrated your own reality to you.
Yeah.
All of this is that we have to change our beliefs. When we change our beliefs, we can have a different reality, including faster manifestations.
Speaking of manifestation, why is it, I mean, you explained a bit of that as you were speaking, but why is it that some people are able to manifest quickly? Like you've been able to master the art of manifestation. Why is it that some people can do it and some people continue to not get results doing it?
That's a great question too. Now you got to remember, when I was first learning this and I was homeless and in poverty, it took me a long time to manifest anything. Right. And I was frustrated. I was like, why isn't this working for me? Why is it working for everybody else? Look at all these books. Why me? Why me? Why me? And here's the punchline. And this is what almost nobody knows. And I call it the missing secret. We have intentions, and intentions are great. Intentions are saying things like, I intend to attract more money. I intend to attract my soulmate. I intend to raise my kids, or whatever it happens to be. But we also have what I call counter intentions. Counter intentions are in our unconscious/subconscious mind. So if somebody says, I intend to find my soulmate, but unconsciously or subconsciously they think all the good ones are taken, or I'm not good enough, or I'm not likable or lovable or attractive, or any number of things like that, they will sabotage their own efforts to attract their soulmate, and they won't even be aware of it. They'll just say, oh, the soulmate's not out there. All the good ones are taken. Works for everybody else, doesn't work for me. And so all of the work that I teach, and in Miracles Coaching and everywhere else, is to help people understand they have to look at their beliefs. I wrote a book called Attract Money Now, and I'll give it to everybody that's watching. Yes. And the idea of Attract Money Now is it's pointing out that, yeah, you want to attract money. That's a positive belief. Money's neutral. Money's useful. We want to use it to fulfill our dreams and have a good life and take care of our family and friends and even the planet. But if you think money is useful and you want to attract money, but you think money is the root of all evil, you won't attract it. You will push it away. You will allow a little bit to come in to pay your bills. And then you'll go, oh, I'm broke again. Why? Because you think it's bad.
But most people don't you said unconscious. So how do you get to the point where you even know that you have these unconscious beliefs? Because I don't think anyone wakes up every day thinking, well, money is bad. Because I think, right? So I know that your Miracles coaching takes people through that process.
Right.
But, what can a person do to become aware?
Yeah, that's a great question. No, it's a very fair question. Well, the very first thing for me is I do think you need to work with somebody else, whether it's a Miracles coach or anybody that's on the outside that can be objective. And the reason being, you don't hear your own beliefs.
Yes.
Your beliefs appear as reality to you. So when you look out into the world and say, oh, there isn't enough money to go around, or look at the greedy corporations, or look at these people stealing from other people, you don't realize that those are manifestations of your belief system. When somebody hears you and can say, hey, did you notice you just said the corporate people are greedy? That's a reflection. You don't think corporations could be good, because there are good ones out there. Yes. Or you don't think money could be useful, because money can be very useful. Or you don't think that money is actually good. You still think it's evil. So somebody can be objective and repeat it to you. Without that, the other thing you have to do is listen to yourself. And this takes a little bit more work. But what I tell people is, imagine you're having lunch with a friend of yours, or you go out for a wine or beer or something in the evening, and notice how you explain your life. If you say something like, well, I went out on a date last night, and just like I thought, the guy was an ass. I knew he was going to be an ass. All the good ones are taken. Everybody out there, all those wonderful people, they're married, they're gone. It's all of that kind of stuff. You have to listen to yourself and realize, wait a minute, am I speaking actual fact? Are all the good ones taken? There's 7 billion people on the planet. They can't possibly be all taken.
Yeah.
And so when you listen to yourself with this kind of neutral objectivity as best you can start to hear your own beliefs.
Yeah.
Then when you hear your own beliefs, you want to question them. Like, could that be true? They're all taken? And realize, no, a scientist would say that's not possible.
Yeah.
Now you can loosen the hold on the belief.
Yeah.
And I talk about this like in the book, Attract Money Now, and your people can have it. Go to attractmoneynow.com.
It's a very good book. I have that book as well. But I have to say that, I mean, anyone thinking about doing the Miracles coaching, I would encourage it, because I personally experienced coaching, and even being conscious and even being a coach. I remember once this coach listened to me and she said, do you realize you're always saying no problem? And I did not realize that I was saying this. And we understand that the universe doesn't hear no, and it only has problem. And so I could not have become conscious unless someone, because it was such a routine thing. It had become so much part of my language that I would not have picked up on it, even if I was listening. So I think it's so important to have someone who is professional, who can listen to you and pick up on those things.
Well, thank you for that. My coaching program is at miraclescoaching.com, miracles plural, miraclescoaching.com. But what you just demonstrated is true. I still use coaches today. Because I know I'm still stretching. I do unusual things like becoming a musician in the last 5 years, and it brought up fears in me and insecurity in me because it was me going in a different direction. And I tell people, look, whenever you go for something you've never done before, you're bound to have limiting beliefs come up, doubts come up, fears come up. And the reason that I accomplish so much today is that I know to clear those. I either clear them myself or I go to a coach who helps me clear them. And when you clear the blocks, they're only in you. When you clear the blocks in you, you can create at warp speed. I have made 6 singer-songwriter albums in about 6 years. I've written 76 books. Somebody counted them and said, you've written 76 books in about 64 years. But it's because when an idea comes to me, I don't second guess it. I go, oh, okay, that's the next thing for me to do. Let's just do it. And most people don't. Most people talk themselves out of it. They say, not me, not now. I'm too old, too thin, too fat. I don't have the experience. I don't have the money. And it goes on and on and on, which is why a coach can point out, do you realize you're making these excuses that aren't actually even real? And you can take them away and actually go manifest your dream.
Beautiful. And so in your book, Attract Money Now, you talk about abundance principles. I don't want to give out too much because I know you're giving the book, but you spoke about giving too little and also, giving with expectations. So there's the giving too little and giving with expectations that's really blocking money flow in your life.
Yeah, that's a great point. And it's an essential one too. I wrestled with it at first, because I used to hear about tithing and about giving money and giving 10% of your money. And I thought it was a big scam. I thought, yeah, I know what you're up to. You want me to give money to you. But when I tried it and started to experiment with it, I realized that this was a psychological as well as metaphysical principle that works. On the psychological level, when you start sharing some of your money, like if you get $100 and you give $10 away, you're telling yourself, I have enough. I have more than enough money. There's some for me, there's some for my expenses, and some I can share. So psychologically, you're confirming yourself that you are abundant and you're living in an abundant universe. Metaphysically, you join the flow of abundance that's already there. When we say, oh, I can't give 10% because I don't have enough, you just confirm that you're broke. You've just restuck yourself in the mud. And you've gotten out of the flow of abundance because you said there isn't enough. I better hold on. That's not how the world works. You want to start giving. So the rule of thumb is to give 10%. Now, what I say, and I say it in the book, Attract Money Now, is you want to give wherever you've been inspired. So wherever you got spiritual nourishment, you got inspiration, and that could be from an Uber driver That can be from a cab or a waiter or waitress. It can be anywhere. It's not necessarily a church. That's how most people think of it. Could be,
Yeah.
but not necessarily. So you look within yourself and you say, where have I been inspired in the last 10 days or so? And then give 10% of what you've gotten in those last 10 days to that source. And what I add is, don't expect the money to come back from that source, not that particular one. Expect the money to come back 10 times or more, overflowing in an unexpected way. That's what you want to expect. So now you can be in the flow. You give with a relaxed generosity. You give where you're being inspired. You're nourishing yourself. You're stepping into the flow of the universe. And you have a mental expectation that it's coming back to you, just not from whoever or wherever you gave it. It's coming back in a surprising way.
Yeah, that is beautiful. And I love what you said, like, think that it's coming back 10x, like it's coming back 10 times.
And that's the rule of thumb. It comes back 10 or more times, and it happens all the time. It's amazing how it works.
When you actually follow this principle.
Yes, exactly right.
So I've noticed that even from your story and hearing other people's stories. So you have those stories that seem like, okay, you were homeless, or maybe your company went through bankruptcy. And it almost seems like you have to hit rock bottom to get those major quantum leaps. How can someone who might be quote unquote normal find the drive? Because I think it comes down to drive. If you're really in a tight place, you really find a way to push. But if you're sort of comfortable, it becomes a little bit harder to expand yourself and see beyond and want more because you're comfortable. How do you move from that danger comfort zone? Because I think it's a dangerous place to be.
Exactly. Yes.
To be in that place where you can actually begin to manifest and go for expansion in your life.
Yeah, that's a great point. First of all, I want people to realize you don't have to suffer anymore. You don't have to hit bottom. I know a lot of people do. There's plenty of stories of people who lost everything, their families, money, all of that kind of stuff. You don't have to do that. You don't have to go that far. You can start right where you are and honestly tell yourself, what do you want to have, do, or be in your life? There are people out there. Arnold Schwarzenegger has always been saying, stay hungry. With all of his success, with all the levels of success in all the different areas, whether you love him or hate him, the guy's stretching. He's always going for more. And that's the principle that you want. At this point in my life, I could have stopped writing books. I could have stopped doing anything. I mean, I could have just relaxed from the success I've already earned or created and the royalties that come in. But I'm not dead. I am very much alive, and I have the nickname Mr. Fire because I'm on fire, and I'm going for more. I'm reaching. The fact that I became a musician 5 or 6 years ago, where did that come from? Came from my desire to be that. And yes, it was a stretch. Yes, it was out of my comfort zone. At one point, I got interested in strongman training, and that's where you take bolts and horseshoes and you bend them with your bare hands.
Wow. And
I started doing that. So why? Why does a person, when he's about to be 60, become a musician? Why does a person in his 60s start to bend horseshoes? It's because that was what was stretching me. That's what my passion and my interests were directing me to do. So I tell people, don't wait till you hit survival and the red alert and the red alarms are going off. You stop right where you're at. And you might be comfortable, which is fine. Be comfortable. But out of the comfort, stretch for more. Tony Robbins has often said, you can sit at the table of success for a very short time and enjoy yourself. But then you're going to atrophy. Your muscles, your brain, your physical being, all of your skills are going to start to wither away unless you start reaching for more. And the more doesn't always have to be for you. You can join a cause or create a cause that you believe in and that you want to awaken humanity and you want to make a difference in Africa or Sweden or wherever it happens to be for you. I want to end homelessness in the United States. I even started a movement it's at Operation Yes. operationyes.com. And it's one of the things I'm doing. I don't have to do it. Not everybody believes I can do it, but I'm introducing an idea. Why? Because I'm stretching. I'm pursuing my passion. I'm looking for the inspiration in me. And then from that inspiration, I use it to guide me into the universe to create whatever is next. So I advise people is you can create your life and stretch your life from right where you are. You don't have to go backward. You don't have to suffer anymore. You don't have to hit bottom. You can build the life of your dreams beginning here, right now.
I think what I found a lot, especially coaching women, is the feeling, that guilt of wanting more. Like they feel like they should not desire more. What would you say to someone who feels that they should be grateful for what they have already and not go for more?
Well, first of all, I think everybody needs to be grateful for what they have already. I mean, this is one of the principles, and not men, women, children, everybody. The miracle we're living is right now. The very fact that we are here, the very fact that we're able to do something like this and your viewers are able to watch it, and we have life, and we have oxygen and gravity taking care of us. There's so many things we take for granted that we don't realize this really is a miracle.
It is.
This is a miracle. So I want everybody, including me, to take a breath and go, wow, I am grateful for the miracle of now.
Yes.
And then we want to work on the idea that we deserve more. We deserve, from the very fact that we are alive, to earn more, to have more, to experience more, to share more, to have more joy, to have more love. We deserve that. Women in particular, from what I've noticed, really struggle with deservingness, which is ironic because from what I've seen, women are the hardest working people on the planet. And a whole lot of the people that come to me are single moms. They're single moms with 2 kids, and they're trying to make their living. To me, that's the hardest job on the planet.
Yeah.
That's the hardest job on the planet. Yet when they look in the mirror, they don't see the worthiness of themselves. Yet in my eyes, I'm seeing heroes and heroines. These are the warriors of light. These are the people, you know, and if they hear what I'm saying and take it into their heart, then they realize, holy smokes, I do deserve good things. Look what I'm doing with my life. Look what I'm doing with my family. Look how I'm handling inequality or unbalance in the world, and yet I'm going on. And the women that are watching this, they really need to applaud themselves because they're watching this because they're taking care of themselves.
Yes.
It's a vote of self-care. And so when you start to take inventory of all you're doing for yourself, all you're doing for family and friends, all you're doing to take care and rebuild yourself or strengthen yourself, then you have to realize I am worthy of even more.
Amazing.
It's a self-approval thing. It's a self-talk. And I'm not talking about ego. I'm not talking about people having big egos. I'm talking about people appreciating themselves. I'm talking about women looking in the mirror and going, you know what? You're doing really great. You deserve even better things for yourself and your family. You deserve it. You've earned it.
Yeah. Beautiful. Ladies, I hope you're taking notes because you really do deserve it. Yes. And so I want to switch, fast forward to the business side of Dr. Joe Vitale. You've also written quite great books on marketing and business in general. And so one of your books that I read recently is the one on hypnotic writing. And I was saying to you off the air that, you know, don't close your eyes to the whole notion of hypnotic. It's not what you think. And it's really intriguing. The book is so amazing that I started reading it in the evening. I went to bed and I woke up at midnight and it's 1 a.m. and I'm like, okay, you should really head back to bed. And 3 a.m. I'm still at it because the content was just so amazing. And I think everyone who's in business, who's out in marketing to sell products and services needs to get their hands on this book because it is simply amazing. And so congratulations to you on this book and being the first hypnotic marketer, the father of hypnotic marketing. But for those who don't know and who thinks it sounds like something where you're putting people into a trance and something weird, what is hypnotic marketing? And how can entrepreneurs use it to create an irresistible brand in a mega volume content marketing world?
Well, what you described is the reason they need to know about hypnotic writing and hypnotic marketing. It's the idea that there's so much competition today. I don't care what you're doing, somebody else is offering something similar. And so the competition is overwhelming. And then people are distracted with their cell phones and the internet and faxes and movies and TVs and relationships. And it goes on and on and on. It's phenomenal, this beehive of activity going on to distract people. So how do you get heard? Hypnotic writing is all about being heard. It's not about putting people into a trance. I mean, the further definition is that we're all in a trance to begin with. We're all focused on, I'm a housewife, or I'm a salesperson, or I'm this, or I'm that, which is kind of defining a trance that we're living from. Yeah. And so hypnotic writing wants to awaken people from that trance so they pay attention to what your message is. And for example, if you're sending out an email or you're putting up a website, you need to have a headline or a subject line that is going to make people want to open up your message. So if you don't have a subject line that is really screaming some sort of benefit or some sort of how-to or some sort of curiosity headline, they won't even open your email. They'll never hear your message. So hypnotic writing, I think in the book Hypnotic Writing, there's 30 ways to write a headline, if I remember right from that, and things like that. And that's only the first step. Once they open your email, now you want them to read it. How are they going to read it? You have to learn how to write in an engaging way. I invented hypnotic writing, which was really a blend of great literature and great copywriting. Copywriting is what they call in advertising, are the words that they use to sell something. In great literature, stories are very often what captivate. When you read Mark Twain, or you read Shirley Jackson, or you read any number of the greats that are out there, you realize they're telling memorable stories. So hypnotic writing uses memorable stories as one technique, and it uses principles of copywriting, like asking questions, asking for the order, putting in testimonials, adding a PS. I mean, these are all fragments of what you need to know. The book Hypnotic Writing explains everything. But the whole point, to answer your question, is that you're trying to be heard in a busy marketplace. And hypnotic writing and hypnotic marketing is a way for you to get your hand up, send up a flare long enough that you get your message heard. That's what that's about.
Speaking of stories, when I read about your sales page experience with EFT expert Brad Yates,
right?
I erupted into laughter when you said, you had to EFT your disappointment away when you can't take the time to do a proper sales page using the hypnotic writing techniques. And then everything by just changing the copy, your sales went up.
And they still are 10 years later.
Wow.
Because the book came out 10 years ago. The sales are still going 10 years later for a website we have not touched or changed in those 10 years.
Wow.
So in hypnotic writing, I tell the story, but as I remember, we got lazy and we just threw up a website that said, hey, we have this little program on how to tap away your belief on money. So moneybeyondbelief.com, I think is still the website, but moneybeyondbelief.com, we put up a lousy website because we were lazy and we thought, well, people will buy this. We don't have to.
It's going to buy it anyway. Right.
And they didn't buy it. It bombed. And so we got an elaborate website with hypnotic writing in it, hypnotic marketing. In fact, if you go to moneybeyondbelief.com, I think that's what you see.
Yes.
Better headline, bullet points, benefits, dialogue, all the things I talk about in the book Hypnotic Writing. You look at that one, that is dramatically different from the garbage one we were lazy to do. And that one that's there now is selling, and still 10 years later. That's the whole point. This is the power of hypnotic writing. Use it on your sales letters, your business cards, your emails, brochures, articles, even in books that you write, and you will stand out from the crowd.
Wow. Amazing. And so in your book, I don't want to give too much away. I recommend, there's so much stuff in the book and you won't be able to put it down. I promise you. It's amazing. The stories are very good. You won't forget them. But you mentioned the 2 human motivators that business owners need to pay attention to when writing. And I loved how you put it, because it's something, as a business owner, I made the decision that I really love the pleasure side of things. I love people
Yes.
to feel higher and feel motivated when they read my work. But a lot of research shows that when you emphasize pain, when you show people why they're in pain, why they're in struggling, and you go on the downer side, on the pain side, it gets better results. So how, for people who prefer to be inspiring, like your movement is about inspiring people, how do you make an impact through your hypnotic writing by focusing on pleasure?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. So the first thing to realize is that you have a choice. And I pointed out in the book, Hypnotic Writing, and most marketers know this, is that you can remind people that if they keep on doing what they're doing, they're going to be painful. They're going to have painful lives. They're going to have loss. They're going to lose something. And the traditional thing is, if you don't get insurance, your house has got to burn down, and then you'll be left with nothing, and you can't feed your kids. I mean, that's a weak example, but it's focused on the pain button in people.
Sure.
And I personally don't like to do that, because this goes back to the law of attraction. I want to focus on what I love.
Yes.
I want people to focus on what they love. So I'd rather generate the idea of, here is your life with my product or service. See how much more magnificent it'll be. See how much more secure or happier or romantic or whatever it happens to be. There was a famous scriptwriter, a copywriter, his name was Gene Schwartz, and he used to say that a copywriter is the script writer of the customer's dreams. You're the script writer of the customer's dreams. And I always loved that. And I would keep it in mind, because I remember I wrote a book decades ago called The 7 Lost Secrets of Success. And when I went to sell it, I remember thinking to myself, I want people to realize that when they get the 7 Lost Secrets of Success and they implement those 7 secrets, they're going to have a richer life, more passionate life, longer life. I wanted to paint the picture of the pleasurable vision that they would have. And so that's what I advise people to do is, what does your product or service fulfill? And then paint that vision as an end result. When you buy my product or service, you are going to live like a queen, or, you know, whatever it happens to be.
Whatever the result is.
You have to adapt it.
I like that. I like staying true to the whole positive energy and all of that. So can you just share, I know that you're giving a magnificent gift, and we're going to talk about that next, but can you share one law of attraction technique that everyone can implement today to get results in their life and brand?
I'm a big fan of Nebulising. And Nebulising, I wrote about it in my book, The Attractor Factor, and I wrote about it in some other books. Neville full name was Neville Goddard. Most people know him as Neville. He taught an advanced visualization technique. So it's almost like advanced law of attraction. And I coined the word Nebulising to do it. And basically what he said was, instead of imagining that your romance or your business is going to happen next week or next month, what you do is sit here and imagine that it happened yesterday or today. What you do is pretend it is already fulfilled. And in fact, he used to say, imagine the wish fulfilled. What most people do with the law of attraction is visualize something occurring, like more money or the relationship, but they're thinking about it weeks or months down the road, which works. That's good. That's better than not doing it. So that's powerful. But Neville said, instead of waiting, pretend it happened so you can embody the feeling of the wish fulfilled. So if you are wanting, I'm a car guy, so I always use cars as examples. So if I'm wanting a particular car, instead of thinking, boy, I want that car someday, or I want it next week, I think, wow, it's downstairs right now in the driveway. And I drove it this morning, and man, was it cool. It was a great day, and everybody looked at the car, and I love driving that car. So you pretend it's already done. And the pretending of it is something you'll feel it in your body. So it's like a holographic experience. It'll awaken all of your cells. But it also tells your brain that it's real. And your brain will go to make it real. Because the subconscious doesn't know the difference between the imagined and the reality. So if you pretend the imagined is already reality, it will supercharge and turbocharge and accelerate the manifestation process to make it happen even faster. So visualization, however you do it, is always powerful. But nebulizing is like a top secret advanced technique that we just to your folks.
Amazing. And I'm very proud to say that Neville Goddard was actually from the Caribbean. He was from Barbados.
That's right. That's right. I forgot that. You're right.
Yes.
That's exactly right.
So we're very proud about that. But before I wrap up with you today, I mean, you give such amazing insights, and I'm telling you, you won't, I hope you have enough time to read all of Dr. Joe Vitale's books, because he has amazing material and an amazing writing style that's easy to understand. But I do have a question that I started asking you off air, which is something that I'm curious about. Just from a philosophical perspective, I've been thinking, because I grew up in a very religious family and was taught the story of creation of Adam and Eve. And I have been thinking a lot about the act of eating from the tree of knowledge of good and bad. And what came to my mind was that this act created a split in our consciousness. So in many ways, we are naturally inclined to focus on both good and bad. Mm-hmm. And maybe over time we have become more conditioned to stay on the bad a little bit more. How do we break the split of consciousness that we were born into, because we inherited from our parents and generations, and really bring that wholeness, which is the good, the only good, and abundance and purity and love and all of the good in the world?
That is a beautiful, heartfelt question. I love it. And I love that you asked it, because in reality, this is where we're all going as a species. All of us, men, women, all of us, we're going that direction. I think we're here to awaken. And we're not awakened right now. We are still in the struggle for the vast majority of the world. But what we want to do is awaken. I wrote a course, and I have an audio program and a book called The Awakening Course. And I talk about these different stages of awakening. And what you're describing here is the fact that our brains are hardwired right now to keep us in survival. And it's doing a good job, because here we are, we're surviving, we're doing it. So our brains are working just fine. That mechanism is working just fine. But what we also have to do is train our brains to start to look for what we want and to look for the good. See, I call the world an optical illusion. Life is an optical illusion. Depending on what your beliefs are, you have these filters and you look through them and you'll only see a match to your beliefs. Your filters will block them out. You'll never know it because it's a belief filter. So if you tend to look out and you see only bad or only negative, part of it is because your brain's trying to keep you surviving, and it's trying to alert you that there's dangers everywhere. There's dangers. Be careful, be careful, be careful. And that's true on the survival level. But there's also, in the very same world, the other optical illusion of good. And if you have the optimist filter, you can look out there and go, wow, look at all the great things that are happening. There's miracles over there. Look at those wonderful people over there. Look what those people are doing over there. And it goes on and on and on. I was at a restaurant one time and there was a painting, and I've almost never bought a painting, but I bought this one because it was a sign that said, train your mind to see the good in every situation. Train your mind to see the good in every situation. The reason I love that is because the very phrase, train your mind, suggests you are not your mind. You are separate, so you're able to train it. So it's almost like train your puppy to see the good in every situation. Train your parakeet to see the good in every situation. Train your cat to see the good in every situation. Train your mind to see the good in every situation. So to answer your question, it's really a matter of awakening to what the habitual process already is. It's wired for survival. And then training it to see the positive where before it may not have seen it. There was the famous book and movie Pollyanna. And in fact, I wrote a song about this on my latest music CD, which is, here's a commercial message, my latest album is the great
something. Oh,
my
great.
great something.
And where can we get it? Where can we get this album?
It's on iTunes. It's on CD Baby. You can go to thegreatsomethingalbum.com. But the second song on it is called The Glad Game. And The Glad Game came from the book and movie Pollyanna, where the little girl played the glad game. And what it basically was, she said, in every person, in every situation, there is always something to be glad about. You may have to really look sometimes.
Very much.
Yes, you know what I mean. You might have to really look, but the point is always, 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 there is something to be glad about. There is something good there. So it's all about retraining the brain, because habitually it's got to look for the negative and the fear to keep you safe.
Yes.
But train your mind to see the good in every situation.
It reminds me of Stuart Wilde, one of the great personal development.
Oh, I love that. Yes.
Yeah, me too. And he said, sit your ducks down. Tell the ducks to sit down. Take those little ducks and sit them down, because they're always trying to run up and jump around and control you and show you the negative and everything. Just sit them down. And Stuart Wilde had a way of saying things that was just absolutely hilarious.
Yes, he was a funny, brilliant fellow. Yeah, he was one of my first interviews. I interviewed him in Houston back in the 1980s or something like that.
Amazing.
He was very nice to me. He was a good guy.
Oh, wow. Amazing, amazing work. And so you have an amazing gift for our listeners here today, which is a beginner's guide to miracles. Can you just tell us about it? And we'll be sharing the link. So the link will be below this video. So you'll be able to access that. But Dr. Joe Vitale will tell us a little bit more about it.
All right. Well, first of all, I have two gifts. Then one is the book, Attract Money Now. And they can just go to attractmoneynow.com, or you can put a link up too. But the other one is an entire video course. It's 7 10-minute long videos by me, which are called The Beginner's Guide to Miracles. Okay. And I made that for all the people who don't read books, but they want to learn some more about this. And it's me talking to you, much like this. I was talking to the camera, and I give one principle a day for 7 days. And then I explain what each principle is, and then I demonstrate how you can go out into the world and apply it that day. So they're bite-sized, so it doesn't take a lot of time. I chunk it down so you don't have to think real hard about this. And these are designed to move you in the direction of creating the kind of life you want, man, woman, child, whatever it happens to be. And I call it the Beginner's Guide to Miracles because I didn't want to say it's the idiot's guide to miracles. I like the idea of the beginner's guide, because we're all beginners in one way or another. We're all learning. Yeah. So that's a big freebie, the beginner's guide to miracles. I'm not selling it. I'm giving it away, and you have the link.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you so much, Dr. Joe Vitale, for sharing your wisdom, sharing bits of your book, giving everyone a taste of what they can expect from your work. I do recommend, if you're thinking of increasing your cash flow in your business and in your life, Attract Money Now and Hypnotic Writing. Amazing book. Get that one right away. And Dr. Joe, is there any final pearls of wisdom that you would like to leave with us here today before we close up?
I thank you for that. And thank you for this interview. I love the interview. It's been great flow, great questions. You're doing great stuff for everybody. So I really support you and your work. I used to be asked all the time, how did I go from homeless to here? They all wanted the one thing. And I kept thinking, because it frustrated me. And then I realized, well, there is one thing I did. And basically, I've always followed my passion, meaning what Joseph Campbell said, follow your bliss. So it's like following my bliss, following my passion, following my heart, following my inspiration, following my love, even when I didn't know where it was going. And so that's my reminder, is that there's an inner guidance system inside of each of us. I've used to tell people, I guess I still do, that I have a homing pigeon in my chest. And the homing pigeon says, go here or over here. And I follow it. Because it's real easy for us to get into our mind, and boy, we will overthink things. Our monkey mind will drive us crazy. We'll self-doubt. But yet, there seems to be a deeper wisdom that's in our chest or our body somewhere in here. And if we can just take a breath and come down a little bit and ask our heart, what do you want to do? What are you urging me to do? What's my passion? What's my love? I believe that's the yellow brick road to the gold that we want. I believe that that's the path to follow. It's worked for me, and I see it working for other people. So that would be my ending reminder, is trust yourself, trust your inner homing pigeon.
Love it. And you are a world-class brand because?
Because, well, that's another separate question, but it's because I wrote a book on P.T. Barnum. P.T. Barnum, the circus promoter, called There's a Customer Born Every Minute. And that guy did 10 things in the 1800s to make him a brand that we still know today. Wow. I say everybody should read that book, There's a Customer Born Every Minute, and everybody should apply those principles because he was a spiritual man. They used to even call him Reverend Barnum. He wasn't a shuckster that people think today. It was a different time period. And he did things that were practical jokes and they were done for humor. But he did these things like using the newspapers to get publicity. And he would do publicity stunts in order to get attention. So I've applied those in everything I've done. When I started to be a musician coming out with my albums, I called myself the world's first self-help singer-songwriter.
Amazing.
It's for my branding.
Yes.
Because I can't say I'm another musician. There's millions.
Exactly.
Thousands every week. When I was first starting out, I called myself the book specialist because so many people were coming to me for help in writing books. And this is early on, like early 1990s. Sure. Why did I call myself the book specialist? I was branding myself in a way that people could understand. Oh, if you want to do a book, you go to the book specialist, of course.
Yeah.
And then, of course, over time, after The Secret comes out, now I rebrand myself as the law of attraction specialist. Yes. And in fact, I became a specialist in what I called the missing secret, because so many people watch The Secret and still had questions. So I can go on. But the idea is I followed Barnum and the 10 principles he's done. I've written books, I've given speeches. All of these things help create a brand around you. Yes. So you want to think about what your message is, hone in on something that maybe nobody else is doing, state it in a way that's hypnotic, that's memorable, and then promote the heck out of it.
Love it. And we call that in French, finding your kernel.
Ah, nice.
Thank you so much, Dr. Joe Vitale. It was such an amazing experience doing this interview with you and sharing these pearls of wisdom, these life experiences, and amazing life-changing principles that you've shared here today. Thank you.
My pleasure. I greatly enjoyed it. Godspeed to you and all your viewers. Thank you
very much. Thank you. Namaste.